Hey guys, so today is Wednesday and that means that this is my third video of the week, and today's video is just going to be a pretty basic how to get started with plushie making. So I'm going to start off by giving a list of the materials that you will need, then I will say what you need to do with the materials, and finally I'm going to end with a couple top tips. So I'm going to get started with the really basic materials that you need to make a plush. And they are here. So all you need to make a basic plush is some type of fabric. Sorry if you can hear my dog barking. This yellow one behind is called felt, which you can buy at any craft store pretty much. You tend to buy them in these A4 sheets, which is the same size of as a sheet of paper. And you can see down here it says I got mine from Hobbycraft. This is generally pretty cheap. I hear it's actually quite expensive in the UK compared to other countries, but I know it's even more expensive in Australia, so I suppose it depends for where you're from. But this sheet of felt costs 50p where I live, but you can get it for cheaper or more expensive or whatever. The second fabric this is like an alternative to felt, you don't need both of them, but this is called fleece, and it's different because fleece is slightly thicker and it's also a lot softer. Like felt is quite hard, but it's still soft. Completely contradicting myself there, but fleece is like more fluffy, if you know what I mean. The reason why I recommend felt and fleece for your material is because neither one of these frays at the edges. If you can't get either one of these materials, then you can use other fabric, but you need to make sure you turn your plush inside out so that you can hide the frayed edges. So yeah, either one of those fabrics will work, and then all you need after that is a needle and some thread. So you buy needles generally in these little packets. It's just like a plastic tub type thing, and it comes with like loads and loads of sewing needles, like all different sizes. And you can get those, well, if you go to like a supermarket, you can get like little sewing kits for really cheap, or you can just buy needles on their own in like sewing shops and stuff. And like I said, the next thing you need is thread. So most people have a couple spools of thread just like in their house, you know, like lying around. I don't know, but if you don't have that, then you can just go to a supermarket or sewing shop or anything and buy lots of spools of thread, and they come in all different colours, so this was just an example I have here. And you're also going to need some scissors. Now these are fabric scissors, they're just like a really tiny pair, but they work fine for plushies. But you actually can use regular scissors to cut felt. It's just slightly easier to use fabric scissors because they're a lot sharper. But either one of those will work. So that's the basic materials. You don't actually need that much stuff, just some felt, some thread and a needle. But then there's also some other stuff that you may want to use, which is not necessary, but it just makes your plushies that little bit cuter sometimes. So I just have in here, I just have some findings. If I can open this up with one hand, I have some little black beads which I use for eyes. These are jump rings. I've got like all different sizes in there. Oh, those are just some heart things. These are just some seed beads, and these are lots of different clasps. So yeah, any findings will work, and that's if you want your plushies to be turned into key rings. Again, you can buy all of these things at your local craft store. You also might want to use some little decorative items, like here I have a couple ribbon bows and some buttons. And this is also ribbon. I have a lot of spools of this ribbon, but I'm just showing this one as an example. And you use the ribbon because you use it to attach the findings onto the plushies to make them into keychains. The last thing that you might want to have to make some plushies is chalk pastels. And these are not necessary. I think I wouldn't have gone out and bought them just for plushie making. It's just that obviously you can see mine are all messed up, and that's because I use them for drawing, because I do art in college. So I bought them for that, but I also use them on my plushies to make things like blush or shading, and they just come in handy. So if you've got them, then feel free to use them. So then once you've got all your materials, then you can get started. And you can see me there, hello. Awkward. So if you don't know what to make a plush of, if it's like your first plushie or something, I think the best bet is probably just to search up plush tutorial on YouTube. And as you see, I've just typed that in, and you get loads and loads of tutorials. Oh, it's mine. Tutorials here. So you can click on any one of them and just follow the tutorial. But after you've done that a couple times, it's probably better to try and come up with some of your own ideas. So you can see in this tab, I've just searched kawaii into Google. And you can basically search anything. You could search like cute toothbrush if you wanted to, and it would come up with like loads of images. And you can just scroll through. Sorry, I'm losing my voice, I don't know why. You can just scroll through and find some things that you think are cute and then turn them into a plush. And basically for me, if I'm going to sit down and I think, okay, I'm going to sew, then I'll probably do this method. I'll just search in cute whatever and find a picture. But generally my inspiration comes to me when I'm just like doing normal things. Like I'll just be, I don't know, I'll be in the kitchen and I'll see a loaf of bread. I don't know, and I'll think, oh, I could make a loaf of bread plush. So I'll just like write it down and remember it for later. But this is always a good idea if you're ready to sew right this second and you don't know what to do. Now, what to actually do? That's a good question. So say you found one of these images and you say you like this bunny rabbit picture. So you want to make it into a plush, and generally what I do is I will draw out the picture onto a piece of paper. So I probably should have done this for you guys to show you, but I think you know what I mean. I'll just draw out the picture first of all, and then I'll break it down into the basic shapes. So for this bunny rabbit, I would probably do the white bit, which is basically like a snowman shape, and then the ears and these feet and these hands and these cheeks are all pink, so I would do those out of pink felt. And obviously this is separate and this is separate and this is separate. So I would draw out the separate pieces. I think I normally would just draw out the white piece because these are quite simple shapes. And then once you've done that, then that's going to be your template. So you use the template to draw around onto the felt. Now that might sound a little bit confusing, but if you watch a couple of my tutorials, I'm sure you will know what I mean. The template is just a piece of paper that you use to draw around. And I will always recommend drawing out a template first, because when you try and draw it straight onto the felt, sometimes you will like make a mistake, and then that's not good if you make a mistake when you're on the felt. So it's better to make your mistakes on paper so that you can just rub it out or get a new sheet of paper. Okay, so now that you know what you need to do, I'm just going to give a couple of my top tips that I generally say to people that ask me if I have any tips for them when they're starting to sew. And generally I will say, if you're making your first plush, you've never made a plush before, try not to do anything too complicated on your first try, because what will probably happen is they won't turn out as well as you expect it to. And then when that happens, it's kind of discouraging and you don't want to do that again, so you'll feel, do you know what I mean, you'll feel bad. So it's best to start off with something really simple, that way you'll know it'll turn out cute. And I think the best thing is just, normally with plushies, the basic things that you want to make a plush out of is food or animals. So just search up some foods. You can do like a little banana or an apple or something. Do you know what I mean? Like, rather than starting off by making a camera or a laptop or something complicated like that. So that's tip number 1, keep it simple. Tip number 2 is, this might sound a bit weird, but always try to keep your stitches neat. Obviously it's kind of, you want neat stitches, obviously, Tammy, everyone knows that. But you wouldn't believe like how different a plush looks if you have neat stitches as opposed to a plush where your stitches are kind of messy and like you can't be bothered. Like, it looks so much better. It makes a really, really big difference. So if that's one thing I want to say to you guys, it's that try to make your stitches as neat as possible, because then even if the plush is like out of proportion or the eyes aren't in the right place or whatever, if you have neat stitches, it always turns out looking professional. So yeah, that's tip number 2. And tip number 3 kind of ties in with that a little bit, and that is that don't rush. So when you're sewing a plush, try not to just try to take your time, try not to rush it and try and get it finished quickly. Because that will lead to you having messy stitches and making mistakes and things like that, and that's not good. So just take your time. If you have to go somewhere, then you can just like put it down and pick it up later. Like, it's not the end of the world. So yeah, that was tip number 3. And I think the most important thing to remember is that the point of plushie making is that you should be creative. and you don't need like loads of fancy equipment and stuff to get started. You just need some creativity and your imagination, and Google helps too. So yeah, I really hope that I can inspire some of you guys to start making plushies, because honestly it's so much fun and I'm really glad that I did. I think it's just one of those things where you know, you go through phases and stuff and you try one thing and try another thing. But I started making plushies like over a year ago now, and I still love it just as much as I did when I started, so it's awesome. That was my video for today, for Wednesday, and I think that tomorrow the video is going to be a little bit tied in with this. Let me know what you guys think about this. But I think I'm going to do a video about how to make plush tutorials specifically. Obviously this video was for people that are complete beginners, because a couple of people have requested this, like they've never made a plush before. But I think maybe in tomorrow's video I'd quite like to do a plush. I'd quite like to do a video for those of you that already do make plushies and are not sure how to go about doing a tutorial. I don't know. Tell me if that would be helpful. If it's not helpful, I'll think up something else. And yeah, thank you for watching. Bye guys.